My name is Houston Garrett. I'm an agent at Keller Williams, and I do like a quick market overview summary of what the market looks like this month compared to last month or a year ago. So basically in this chart I put in to give you an idea of the month supply of inventory, the total on market and sold, to kind of give you a pulse of where the market's headed comparatively to last year. Overall what I'm seeing, to give you a brief update, it's about what it was like last year. We just have more houses on the market, and then I feel like we're having a normal, kind of like in a market of 2017 and 2018, which if you had a house on the market for a long period of time, you took it off the market and you let it, and you didn't sell it. Or if it was overpriced, it would be an expired listing. Felt like we did not have expired listings when the market was really hot. We just started to have those. I would say like a good amount of expired listings for the last year and a half. So I think that is why the inventory hasn't totally just gone crazy, is because I think people are taking their house off the market, or during the summer they have to sell their house to move to another house, and so it's not like a whole lot of, that's what I feel like the market is right now. Let's see, we have a little bit more month supply of inventory, and what month supply of inventory is it's if we were to have no new listings hit the market, how long would we sell out of our current inventory? So it'd be 4.7 months. So what we have total if we have no new listings hit the market. A healthy market is about, in Lubbock, is about 4.5. I would say it's like healthy. That would be like a medium balance. It's more of a buyer's market. If it's above that, I'd say it's way more of a seller's market. If you're below that, really think seller's market is more or less like below a 3 is what I would say is like a really good seller's market. And I'd say we're probably more or less in a buyer's market than anything, is what we're really in. So there's a lot of competition. If you're listing your house and you're in these areas where they've, for example, Beaton Bow, there's 5 or 7 in the, at least, of that same floor plan that you're competing against. So you're competing not just in location, but in price and condition. So those are the 3 things you got to think about. If you're flipping a house or if you're putting it on the market, it's a beauty contest and you want to be the best looking one. So,
okay.
Questions?
So you would say it's still a buyer's market?
I'd say more or less so, yep. And it's kind of hard because you don't know, you got to ask for the deal, is what I've seen. You don't know what the debt is that they've taken out of the house. Some of the houses, they just can't sell it because they can't get out of it, and they don't have the money to cut a check at closing, and so they've decided to stay in their house. That's a very common thing. And then you do have some people that have a lot of equity in their house and they put it on the market and they just want to get rid of it, and there's so much competition and they're willing to let it go for lower than list. So you don't know until you ask, that's what I would say.
So you're saying we're looking closer to the market, you said 2017 then?
I'd say 2017, 2018 is what I feel like we're in. This is my pulse.
You saying back then it was more normal for them to take stuff off when the listing expired. Could that mean there's a potential shadow market of properties that could be wanting to be sold that we're not seeing from these numbers?
Yeah, I think if you mean like there's expired listings or there's more inventory that's not on the market, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think we'll see a lot of uptake in inventory this summer. I think we'll see a lot of those people that tried to sell last year that didn't move, and they're wanting to go to a 4-bedroom from a 3-bedroom, and they're going to go back on the market and try to sell.
And with you being a realtor, how would you help us investors acquire this shadow market?
sometimes the debt is, what I'm seeing is a lot of people have gone out and they've got the lower rate, but the debt is so high where they don't have room to make a deal. And I feel like in the environment that we're in and the economy that they're in, they're wanting to basically just get out of it, or they want to they need to sell that to go to the next one. And a deal, normally what I'm seeing, like they're very thin equity is what I'm seeing across the board. Most people who bought a house like in like 23, late 22, right before rates like really went up, like they have very little, I would say, like net equity to really do something with. It's kind of a wash if they get lucky.
Are you seeing more rate options now that the increase so low, the rates are higher, the rates are low? Is that even something to be talking about?
Like doing what again? Doing like
A lot of stuff, too, stuff, that's what I focus on.
yeah, I think
That sounds exactly like what I help a lot.
yeah. The problem with the sub 2 thing is normally the people that are doing sub 2, in my honest opinion, don't even own a house that are doing sub 2. And so they're taking over someone's debt on the house, and then themselves are not really qualified to do sub 2. And we've had in all over the country and in Lubbock, we've had a lot of people that have done sub 2 and didn't work out. And then they figure out, oh crud, I'm getting foreclosed on, I'm still responsible, which they will explain that in the sub 2. And so that's a real thing, is that people, they still have it, they're still responsible for it.
And that's why I asked, because me, myself, I perform more than 5 times per year property side. My community performs all the time, so I can understand it's like a emotional situation where they're kind of scaring people off. There might be a solution, but because of the way things are being handled as far as paperwork back and insurances, things that cost what so causes are causing them to not be able to have a solution like that. So
Yeah, and I think if there was I think the thing is if you do a sub 2, it takes about 6 months to get that off of their debt to income. And most of the people are wanting to sell to get it off their debt to income to go to the bigger house right then. And they don't have that luxury to wait. Yeah, so, yeah.
All right, thank you, Houston.
Yeah.
All right, real quick, we do have an app now. It's free. You can get it on the Play Store. Sorry, Apple. We're working on it. And so it is very difficult to get on the Apple, or what is it, the Apple Store? I don't know what it is. So, download our app. One, it is a community. There's a place for you to post your deals on there that everyone can see. We have calculators on there, so you can do like a rent calculator, a repair budget, I can't remember them all. We got a DSCR calculator, just all kinds of stuff. All this is free, by the way. Also, it'll send out notifications and let you know when our next events are. And a direct link to our sponsors to where you can get a discount. And so, it's a free app. Everyone download it. It's awesome. And then speaking of deals, just real quick, there's these little cards on your table. Does anyone have a deal that they would like to fill out and give to me? And I'll present it real quick. No deals? You got deals. Come on, Michael.
I do got deals, but I gotta see what they are.
Okay.
He's serious too.
Yeah, okay.
No, I work with a lot of wholesalers, so they have typical deals that they're trying to rent out. So let me go ahead and ask if it's okay to give it, I'll give it to you.
Okay, sounds good, sounds good. All right, so no other deals here. And just a reminder, the app, you can post your deals on the app. And so then everyone would see it. All right, so we got a few of our sponsors here. They operate in this industry, and we're going to ask them a few questions. And so at this time, I'm going to invite our panel up. All right, as most of y'all know, whenever y'all go in and y'all start to buy a house, a lot of times things can go bad. And what we're trying to do is help prevent you from making a mistake and getting to that bad item and catch those items up front. And so we're going to be asking our panelists here some basic questions on maybe things that you should be looking for when you're looking at your next property. But real quick, we're just going to do just a quick introduction and what you do. And so we'll just start with you.
Okay. Sean Benson. I own an insurance agency in Woodford, and most of the time we gear that agency toward investors in commercial properties. But we do everything: home, auto, life, all of the things. But investor insurance is our specialty. I am an investor, and I was buying rental properties back in 2016, and then I purchased the insurance agency. So I did that because of some of the difficulties I was finding with my investment properties and insurance. So that's what I do.
My name is Brooke. I work with Nugent Mechanical. We are a everything HVAC company. We do work really well with investors and helping you decide replacement, repair, whatever that may look like.
I'm Eric Baumberg with Baumberg Plumbing, Heating, and AC. They take care of the HVAC for y'all. We do the plumbing. We offer to come in basically before you buy the house. We do some plumbing. Oh, okay. I'm Eric.
Quick.
I'm Shane Johnson. I own Johnson Roofing. I have been in the roofing business for 30 years, commercial and residential. And I'm just here to try to help you guys from making mistakes up front that's going to cost you dearly in the end.
I'm Cooper Sanders. I'm with Carnco Fence. Specialize in all residential fences and anything along those lines. So
Perfect. So I will open this up for y'all to have questions for them at the end, so just bear with me. We are going to start with Cooper because he's going to bail a little bit early, so y'all may want to try to get his number. Just come see me if you want his number. I can give it to you. So just question one. What would you consider the best material to use on a new fence?
So in Lubbock, you've got weather that you never really know what it's going to do. It might rain, it might be windy, or whatever. The best material for pickets is definitely cedar. It is going to shrink. It allows it to shrink and grow with the wind or with the rain. Wood is known to absorb moisture, and so whenever it rains on a fence, you tend to have your gates will end up rubbing because that wood kind of expands and then it dries out and you've kind of got gaps. Well, with cedar, that kind of minimalizes that type of issues from happening. So cedar would be definitely the go-to. Most suppliers deal with cedar just because it's such a weather-resistant type of wood.
And if you were considering getting a new fence, what should an investor consider from your opinion?
Yeah, so looking at whenever you've got a house and you go out and look at the fence, there's always a few things, especially whenever I go and look at them for the people and just kind of see what needs to be replaced. If you've got those wooden poles that are 4x4 poles and they're almost every time you're going to end up having to replace them a lot quicker than you're going to have to end up replacing a metal pole. Those wood 4x4 poles, they'll sit in that concrete. Well, that concrete's not completely, what's the word I'm thinking of? It's not completely sealed, so that water leaks in, and more times than I can count, these poles have just rotted from the bottom of the pole up. And so definitely, if you've got wood poles, it's one of those things where it needs to be replaced. And then if you're looking at replacing those pickets, if you've got them falling off, if your rails that are running across, if they're rotted out, obviously those need to be replaced. And a lot of times it's a lot easier to just replace the entire thing and just get it over with rather than having to go back and repeatedly make repairs on a fence that needed to be repaired, and you're going to end up spending more money doing these repairs. So I would say don't be scared to, I know it's
it's more money to replace it up front, but you're gonna end up saving yourself money. And it's gonna look a lot better if you have the whole thing replaced rather than just one section replaced or pickets or whatever that is.
Okay. And last question for you, what would you say the average life expectancy is of a fence?
So whenever it's treated, I mean, Lubbock is kind of one of those places to where that life expectancy drops because of the weather. You've got the wind, you've got all that. I know the storm we had last June was really good for business, for us at least, because of all the hail and stuff. On average, I would probably say if you put a new fence in and you don't treat it or anything, you just put it up, don't stain it or anything, it's probably with metal poles and pressure treated rails and cedar pickets, it's going to last you, I mean, 15 to 20 years, and it's going to be, you might have the occasional picket that needs to be replaced, but the whole thing itself is going to stand strong. And it just kind of depends on if you do a concrete border around the fence, it's going to last longer just because those poles are more secure. If you do, there's a bunch of different upgrades you can kind of make as you decide what type of fence you might need or want that will ensure the life expectancy. It lasts a lot longer, as well as I always recommend staining it. If you get it stained, it's always going to last longer. That wood's not going to move at all because it's completely sealed. So I would say probably 15 to 20 years would be a good, if you get it without doing anything to it. And if you stain it and treat it right, it's going to last a lot longer.
Okay. Good info. All right. Let's move to the top. Literally the top. So, that was a joke, guys. Come on. The roof. Okay. Cheney, how would you quickly tell if the roof is fine or a problem?
Well, we would get up on top of the roof and do a physical inspection.
So, walk the roof. Yeah. Okay. Would you advise an investor do that, or?
No, I think, and what we offer to anybody in here is if you're serious about buying a property, you give us a call, we'll go out and look at the roof for you, tell you if it's in good shape or not, and then give you the options of what to do with it.
So where would you draw the line between doing a repair versus replacement? Is there like a line that you try not to cross?
Well, a repair is usually isolated to one spot. And of course, the replacement is, the repairs, if you've got a few shingles blown off, it's easy to go in and, seal if you're in good shape. But if the roof overall's old, beat up from hail, that's kind of the line.
Okay. What should an investor do if they come across a 3-tab roof? And maybe explain what a 3-tab is.
Okay, so what investors need to do, even if they're not 3-tab, but the 3-tab is always kind of the red flag. You need to see how many layers are under it, because that gets pricey. And then you need to try to check the deck if you can. If you're buying something that was built around 55, 56, it could have a wood-shaped shingles under that, and a lot of those older houses, the wood-shaped shingles were the deck. So when you take those off, you have to redeck the house. I would never put a 3-tab on anything personally. I don't see anybody doing that anymore, to be honest with you.
I still see it from time to time. Why would you not recommend a 3-tab?
Well, because they blow off real easy, and they're just an inferior product, and they don't look very well either to me.
Just so you know, a 3-tab is rated at 60 miles an hour wind, and we live in Lubbock, Texas.
That's a Tuesday.
That's a Tuesday, exactly. So a lot of people are still doing 3-tab.
So what do 3-tabs look like?
They're the ones that look just like it's flat. And architectural's got dimension to the shingle.
And they're all different sizes too.
Yeah, and you just want to put an architectural shingle on anything, yeah. And they call it dimensional or whatever, but it looks kind of chunky on the roof.
not the flat ones.
Right. It looks higher grade, and it is.
Okay. And what would you consider the most expensive mistake that you think investors would make?
I just would say the most common is they need to have someone like me or the roofing company come and look at the roof. Because if they get out and they buy something and they don't have a roof figured in, it could cost them $15,000 to $20,000. And they need to figure that out on the front end so they can negotiate the price.
Or maybe the seller's insurance pays for your roof.
Yeah. But a lot of times the sellers run off with the insurance money. So, just
Negotiate that in the contract before you buy it.
yeah, just be sure and look at the roof and see if it, what we do is we look at it and kind of our determination, is it insurable? So when we look at the roof, is your insurance company going to come out and say, yes, we will insure this roof? That's our biggest deal.
That is the key word right there. That's perfect. All right, so we're gonna go to Brooke next. So, okay. HVAC is definitely one of those things that a lot of people look over, but as soon as it stops working, it's the first thing that you're gonna get a complaint on. And so, what HVAC mistake costs landlords the most money?
I'd say trying to patch stuff whenever a professional tells you it needs to be replaced. If we come out and we say there's a hole in the coil, we need to replace the whole thing. That's, at that time, it's going to be the cheapest that we can get it, and it's going to save you a lot of money in the long run. New systems come with warranties and different things that will keep you several years from having to spend any more money on that system.
So that makes it tough. Should you repair or replace? How do you draw the line there?
So life expectancy on a unit, we say is about 15, 20 years, depending on how you take care of it. Change your filters, that's gonna be the best taking care of it you can do. But age really, and then if there's been a big, like right now we're seeing a big refrigeration change, and so R22 refrigerant was way back when, and there's still several properties, especially in Lubbock, that have R22 in it. As that refrigerant ages, it gets really, really expensive. So I'd probably say the cutoff, biggest is age and wear and tear. If there's holes in the line setup, that line setup's running underground versus above ground, things like that can really draw a line for us, and we want to replace it.
What do you see as the most common repair?
Most common repair.
Mhm.
In investors and rent homes, the tenant doesn't change the filter, so everything gets stocked up and it needs cleaned. Is probably in this industry the most common thing we see.
So would you advise someone buying a rental property just to have it inspected and at least probably budget for a cleaning?
Oh yeah, 100%.
So,
And those cleanings come, depending on what part of it needs cleaned, we can do it. If it, $500, it can get pretty pricey, depending on if it's an old home and the spot's this big and it's going to take 3 hours to get that stuff out. So that can vary a little bit, but that's definitely a lot cheaper than letting it ride and it just blowing out of the water, and now you have to replace it.
so change filter,
Change your filter.
change your filter. Life expectancy, you said 15
To 20 years, depending on how it's taken care of. And listen, when we say change your filter, every 30 days, I don't care if that filter's 4 inches. We live in West Texas. We live in Lubbock. The dirt blows on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, every day that ends in Y. So that filter, even at 4 inches, is going to get stopped up, and you need to change it every 30 days.
What type of filter should you do?
The cheapest you can get. You want to be able to see through it, because the thicker it is, the airflow is not going to flow as easy. So if you can get the cheapest filter you can get, change it every 30 days, that's going to maintain your system for a long time.
So why not the hypoallergenic?
It doesn't let
$50.
airflow flow good enough, so the system's gonna choke up. It's not getting enough air to do what it's designed to do.
Okay. So buy the cheap filters. Got it.
What about the reusable ones, those metal ones?
I mean, where you just change out like the
You can
inside
just
of
like
it.
spray it down and then,
Oh, no.
no, okay.
We would not recommend that. I mean, yeah, we would not recommend that. Go to Walmart and buy poly filters. They're
Okay.
cost you $20 maybe for a pack of 6 or something.
Right. All right. Moving on, we're going to do plumbing here. Plumbing is definitely the one that gets people the most, including me, because you can't see it. So it's all underground. And so what's the issue investors miss the most and costs them the most?
Yard lines and all the cast were anything underneath the house. So when y'all are coming out to look at this property, we offer a $250 camera fee that we run. If they have a clean out outside, we can run our camera back down towards the city and back up towards the house if they have the correct clean out, to sort of check some of the piping, see if it's PVC, see if it's cast, see if it's Orangeburg, see what kind of shape it's in, if it's oval or if it's still pretty round. So the best thing is hire us to look over that, run the camera down there. If we run back towards the house and we see per se that it's still cast iron, we go as far as let's go ahead and pull the toilets. Let's run our camera down there and let's start seeing how that underneath the house looks. So the biggest thing on the plumbing is your sewer line.
So you mentioned cast iron. How long does cast iron last?
It's about over with now.
So if you find-
we don't per se put in cast iron anymore. We have CT boots. If you know what it is, it's a rubber boot that we tie onto the cast iron on this side, tie onto the cast iron on this side. We replace it with PVC because PVC is going to last until 200 years from now. Cast iron, it's iron, cast iron. It starts rusting from the inside out. You don't take care of it. You don't put enzymes down. You don't get it cleaned. It starts getting ridges in it. Once it starts getting the ridges, it starts catching the toilet paper and starts catching things. Next thing you know, you have a clog. So cast iron's really like R22. It's the old stuff. So,
It's expensive.
and it's expensive.
So if you see cast iron in a property that you're looking to buy, would you immediately say that's a red flag?
I wouldn't say it was a red flag. I would have us camera it, see if it's oval, see if it has any cracks in it. Cast iron is still going to last a little bit, but we're buying, Lubbock, Texas, where we've got 1950 to 1970 houses over here that are, 50, 60, 70 years old now, and you're getting to the end of it. The biggest thing is to have that line camera so we can see how much rust is built up in there, how jagged it is, if there's any cracks in it, if it's oval. I mean, we've pulled out cast iron that looks like this, not round anymore. So once it starts ovaling and packing down, all it's going to do is start catching everything, and the next thing you know, every 2-3 weeks, every month, being the minutes, everybody flushes wipes down. Wipes catch. So it's just, once we start ovaling, it's better just to go ahead and replace the yard line out to the city, out to the fence line, and get it replaced.
When did they stop using cast iron underneath?
Oh, they still make it today. But in new construction, 99.9% of the time we're going to use PVC.
Well, I'm saying, is the house built in 1980, ADS or PVC? Is something built in 1972, probably cast iron?
Probably cast iron until about, I'm gonna say the 80s, 85-ish or so. Then you start getting into your Orangeburg, where they started using Orangeburg, and then now we're onto the new beautiful PVC. So,
How would you describe Orangeburg to someone who doesn't know what that is?
it's like cast iron, except it's made out of clay. And same thing, clay it starts ovaling out. So it starts getting rigid. Orangeburg is very notorious once it starts ovaling to start cracking down it. And then next thing you know, you've got a pile of roots growing up from it, from the tree in the front, don't even have a tree in the back, but roots will find water. So,
And going back to like regular real estate inspections not include scopes to, that's unfortunate. I think you have to learn that.
Yeah, this is a good comment. When you buy a house and you hire like an inspector to come out to do the property, they're a generalist inspector. They're looking at everything. They are not a licensed plumber. They are not running a camera. Okay, and so this is an additional step that you would probably need to consider.
And most don't look at roofs either.
Like you said, there's
So
gym-
hire the professional. This is why they're up here. The roofer here will inspect them for free.
we do a $250 camera fee. If y'all end up buying that house and we have to do some repairs on it, we credit you that back and make a repair.
Yep.
Now,
So-
if you were going in the house, inside, and having to redo some of the plumbing, would you go back to like next pipe or
Yes.
side?
We go back with PEX. Copper and galvanized steel is what they used back in the day. If it's galvanized, it's about done. I mean, we've just replaced 2 houses full of galvanized. If it's copper, you probably got a little bit longer. Copper is good, but it also, what is the word for it? It ionizes. Yes.
3 months in the hot water line copper, and then go back to patch and everything. But yeah, once it starts turning green, that's it.
Yes, once it starts turning green, you know you're getting to the end of it. The solder in the joints is normally where we start getting our leaks right there. Not saying we don't have them in the middle of pipes, but probably 70–80% of the time when that copper pipe starts leaking, it's usually from a fitting. So,
And last but not least, investors think that they're covered, and they're not. Where are investors most exposed when they get insurance?
So I won't say that there's a lot of things about insurance, and this industry is a little, it gets ugly. So to be completely transparent, first off, you need to get these guys out there to take a look before you purchase, as they say. But a lot of the times with insurance, I'll start with deductibles. The reason I put you with a carrier that only does investment properties instead of, I'm a farmer's agent. I won't put you with farmers even if they take it. But they're covering you based on, if this place burns down, I have to build this house back for you. And there's houses on the market at $200 a square foot. It doesn't matter where your property is. It doesn't matter what you purchased it for. They are insuring you for if I have to put this house from the ground up, first off, removing the debris and then building it again. They're putting all of that in your dwelling coverage. And the problem with that is, well, if it burns down, yeah, you're gonna be really happy because you're gonna get a brand new house. But they're covering it at that dollar amount of what it costs to replace it. So if someone calls me, they have a deal, and they bought this house for $100, they're putting 30,000 into it, they were doing the builder's risk, and then, hey, you got to finish it. You convert that to a regular insurance policy, if it's a rental policy, they're trying to cover it if this burns down. So now you're getting the quote at the dwelling coverage for $275,000. Problem with that is it's 2% of that coverage. So if it was $250,000 and it's 2% of that, you're looking at a pretty good deductible. Now, that's if you're going with your State Farm, your Allstate, your Farmers, they're going to do it that way. And most agents won't work the numbers in order to bring that down, okay? So the carriers that I place you with, there's way more wiggle room in where I want to have that dwelling coverage. So I'll ask you, what are you putting into this? What's your total investment? What's the loan with the bank? Because we have to hit that number, dwelling coverage. But I don't want to over-insure you, because if you have a deductible that's higher, it's going to cost you a lot more out of pocket. So if you've had claim stories, you've seen this, you know. So the other thing I think is, it's not that you're not covered, but there's certain things you don't want to put on a claim, obviously. There's a home warranty option, there's a homeowner's insurance option. Landlord policy is more like the homeowner's insurance option, where more than likely you're looking at that 2% deductible. Unlike a home warranty, you might pay $500, $600 for that. You have a very small deductible, which may be $85 to $100, they come out, and you're better off if it's a small repair. So let's say the, oven went out, appliance went out. You're not following a claim on your rental policy for that, 2%. You want to follow on a home warranty. Now, when you purchase a house, it comes with a 1-year home warranty, right? You're seeing that with your landlord policies, right? Or your landlord properties. That one is totally different than what a rental policy would be, because you're looking at a 2% deductible. So I won't say you're not covered. It's just that there's certain things you won't want to claim. And I think before you make a claim, the bigger problem I see is people making a claim on their own. And I'm not saying you have to come to my agency to get that. I think you need to have an insurance agent that will file that claim for you, that will ask questions before you make that claim. Because once you make that claim, it's not coming up. Even if they come out and they say, hey, you got a roof issue and it's going to be $9,000. Well, if your deductible is $10,000 and you filed that claim, there's no taking it back, you know. And so now you got a claim and your deductible is higher than the repair, a problem. You see? So that I see all the time. If I didn't see it as much as I see it, I wouldn't bring it up. But trust me, it happens all the time. I'm probably going to answer your questions before you ask it.
You just kept going. You answered almost all my questions.
Sorry.
This is kind of a run on.
Yeah.
So let's circle back here. So how much coverage should someone get?
That is so relative. So I have what you would call B properties, C properties, I have A property. The coverage is based on your risk tolerance, to be honest with you. And Jared, he cracks up, he's not here tonight, but Jared loves replacement costs. You know, there's nothing wrong with that. It is replacement costs. It's by far the best type of insurance you can have. It's going to be higher in dwelling coverage, but you can rest at night knowing, hey, I'm insured to the point where if something happens, I'm covered. There's a part of that even covers like the 25% more than whatever that dwelling covers. So you're safe. That is the sleep well at night coverage. I would put that on my home. I have actual cash values on a lot of my properties. I'll give you an example. I bought some properties in 2016 for, believe it or not, $60,000, $70,000. They're worth maybe $120,000, $130,000, $140,000 now. If I put that with a big box carrier, they're going to insure that at $250,000. I don't want that, because I don't want that deductible to be that high. But I want it to cover me. If one of my houses burned down, you know, I'm not going to say I'm going to build that one back, but I don't want to lose money in this deal. And just because I bought it for $60 I don't want to insure it for $60, but I don't want to put it at $250,000. So there's a gray area there where you don't want to be over-insured, because it might feel good, but that deductible is a lot higher. Okay, and that's when you get hit with it. So
your premium usually higher too?
The premiums are higher, and so that's most of the investors, they don't want to be, the coverage to be that high because the premium goes up. So the higher the coverage, normally the higher the premium you're paying every year. But I do get the guys that want it as cheap as possible. They say, man, I bought this property for $30,000. I get it, but no carrier is going to cover you for something that low because obviously when it burns down, your story's going to change. And now they look bad. There's something called an admitted carrier, and that is something to look for. Admitted carriers have guidelines that they have to go to because they're covered and governed by the Department of Insurance for Texas. Admitted covers, the carriers do not want to have a black eye with not paying a claim, okay? There are certain carriers, you wouldn't believe it, but you see the TV commercials all the time. They pay out 50% of those claims. So half of the claims aren't paid out, okay? Some of those claims that are paid out, in that 50% that was paid, it wasn't a total replacement. It wasn't that you got your roof replaced. You got a check for $6,000, but your roof cost you $18,000, okay? So admitted carriers are something to look at. Doesn't mean you have to be with Farmers or Allstate or State Farm, but you don't want to be, hey, I found this online with ABC Insurance. Don't do that. Do not do that because you will not get your claim covered. You may not even get a return phone call. So I call, and when I call, I get through because I'm representing 2,000, 3,000 policyholders, okay? They don't know you at all. They're dodging you. You don't have time to call. I've got my system dialed, and so we get through. And we lean on adjusters. We lean on, if anyone's an adjuster, I'm not knocking you, but sometimes your caseload gets a lot bigger than it should, and so you get put to the bottom of the list, and we get that pushed up. So
let me ask you something real quick. As a roofer, I deal with insurance all the time. I don't like the ACV policies because.
You say that again. You don't like them?
I don't like the ACV policies because the insurance companies depreciate.
Yes.
The roof, and in Lubbock, Texas, we're going to get a storm every 5 to 7 years.
Yep.
And they'll depreciate it down where people are just, like you said, they'll get a $7,000 check on an $18,000 roof. And in Lubbock, you're going to have to replace your roof every 7 to 10 years at least.
Right. And I love these questions because there's so many things to cover that I won't remember. So
That's actually one of my questions.
Yeah.
ACV versus replacement cost.
Okay, so he's 100% right because what they're going to do, most carriers are going to look at that and they're going to value what that roof is, being that it is 6 years old. So you bought this house, the roof passed inspection, you have an actual cash value policy, the roof isn't broke down, but it's not new. They're going to look at that roof and give you a dollar amount based on what they say that roof is worth, being that it is 6 or 7 years old, okay? That is something that you want to look at, and it's kind of weird the way to look at this, but if you're buying a house and you know your roof is older and you can qualify for replacement cost value, weigh that heavily because you have an older roof. If you had a brand new roof, now this is where it gets kind of controversial. Someone will say, well, the roof is brand new, I want it covered. That roof value is extremely high now because it is a brand new roof. So the chances of you being paid out well on that is higher. Now, this just depends on the carrier you go with. This is what I do like a Farmers policy. Farmers will give you a check for $26,000.
That's what I have my insurance with.
Yeah. So my homeowners is with Farmers. My rental properties are not. Now, I have a high risk tolerance. I will tell you that right now because I play the numbers game and I feel way more comfortable because I have multiple properties. So this is my strategy. My cash flow goes into an account waiting for something to happen. And if I have a lower policy and I know it on that roof, I know that roof's getting replaced in a few years. I already put the money back, to be quite transparent. Not because I think a hailstorm's coming, but because it's cold, And I love to get with someone that says, hey, You have 15 properties, you're doing all those roofs, I hope you know that. So I need a really good deal on this roof. And so it just depends on the house. Now, if you got a rental property and it's 3,000 square foot, that's a lot of roof. If you got a 900 square foot house, that's a different story. And I have all of those. So I wouldn't say there's a one size fit all for every house. I don't have a straight normal policy on every one of my rental properties because they're all different. Now here's my plug. That's why I like to look at what you have. I don't just write a policy. I look at it and I say, okay, this is a great rate you're getting on this house. Tell me about it. You're doing a builder's risk because you're going to fix it up after you buy it. You're putting this much into it. Now, keep in mind, that's a 3,000 square foot house. So when we write the insurance policy, I want to look at that with you. Let's weigh the cons and pros on this. And trust me, Jared was very adamant. I want replacement costs. Well, if Michael Crump was here, some of you may know him, he doesn't want that. He wants it lean, man. And his argument, and I have people tell me this, I have people that just have liability only extended from their home. They don't have insurance on their house. And their argument is, I put so much money back that if it burns down, I'll just pay out of pocket. I had a guy do that. It didn't burn down, but it burned. I mean, $25,000 in damage. And his argument was, I saved so much on my insurance over the years that I didn't mind paying that out of pocket. Now, again, if I put 100 people in this room, I'll have both sides saying two different things. So, is there a one size fit all? No, but I would look at that policy with you. I would look at that house with you to make sure we're making a good decision.
How many of y'all understand insurance crystal clear now?
You never will.
Yeah. No one does. And
Well, I'll
most
tell you-
people don't understand investment properties.
Mhm.
This is why we have someone who understands investment properties who does insurance here.
Yeah, and I will say that's the least thing you're going to study, to be honest with you. I mean, you know more about all of these things up here than you know about the insurance. I mean, you know what you've been told, but it changes daily. That's the problem with insurance. It is changing all the time. So I may have you with a carrier, and next year I'm like, man, we're going to move over here because they changed underwriters, and now the rules have changed. Same carrier, same commercial. It's not the same situation, but it's like taxes. I mean, you don't really study that. That's one time a year that you're looking at it like you really should, or your CPA is. But insurance is what we do all the time. So I give you the raw, this is what it is. And I'm telling you, there's a lot that I don't like. But when I go in, I'm arguing for you. I'm your attorney, if you will. And I'm looking at it as if, like, how do we get you paid? Because the carriers they're going to be just fine, you know.
Okay.
One, as a roofer dealing with insurance all the time, I always have a lot better luck if I can get your agent
Yeah.
in the middle of the argument, instead of talking to somebody in Nebraska or wherever.
Yeah. I'll say this last thing. A claim doesn't get filed unless I've seen it. And you have the option, and I can't stop it. You can file a claim on your own. I think that's like representing yourself in court. That's the dumbest thing you can do. So I want to look at it so we make sure that we need to file that claim, but I want to make sure I file it because I want to know what's being said to that adjuster or that. And trust me when I tell you, last thing I'll say, when they say that these calls are recorded for training purposes, they're not. That's a lie. They're trying to catch you saying something that you probably don't want to say, and you can't unsay it, and they can't unhear it. So trust me when I tell you, it matters what is done and how you file a claim. It really does.
Okay. We're going to do a quick rapid fire, then we're going to open up for everyone to ask their own questions. I really like this. Something investors overspend on in your niche. So we'll just, Sean.
Well, it is insurance. You know, I mean, if you go with a big box, I mean, you're paying for the commercials and the trucks and everything. Think about that. So they overspend, you know, they're covering you for a lot of things that you're probably never going to file. This is not your home, this is your investment. So, you know, you can't be overinsured, and it makes you feel good, it's not great. That was rapid. That was very rapid. What the hell?
So shop around with a broker. Okay.
Thank you.
Ask the question again, I'm sorry.
Something investors overspend on.
Not having us come look at it before you buy the house, and trying to put the carriage before the horse, or put the horse before the carriage, if you will.
Okay.
Overspend on? not everybody needs gold-plated faucets. Not everybody needs a special toilet. I mean, if you're investing and this is your rental property, you don't need to treat it like it's your house. Treat it like there's a tenant in there that doesn't care about your property and they're about to use it and abuse it. So, overspending, I'd say, on fixtures and stuff like that when you first, after you buy the house and you try to, per se, upgrade it, you don't have to buy the most expensive fixtures.
What about Delta?
The what?
What about Delta?
Delta, we installed Delta.
Aren't those the most expensive, but we're supposed to use those?
If you go to Home Depot.
All right, Cheney.
I would say not having a qualified roofer look at the roof before you buy it. And you also need to be careful who you hire. There's guys out here that are double, triple what I'm charging.
And I agree with you.
That's
Who
true.
you hire, make sure they are insured, they have their license, they know what they're talking about. If you have a little bit of an inkling of a feeling that something's not right, it's probably not right.
And they can mess it up worse than, you
Yep.
know,
What's to be
was to begin with.
Okay, so we'll go ahead and open up everyone here for a question. Limited amount of questions, because you'll take them all the time.
At least a page.
Yeah, you're good.
Alright. Real quick for the roofers, how fast can you get out there to look at a roof? Because the majority of people can't look at properties until they have it under contract, and they normally have like a 7-day window. I've had the experience of that to get my earnest money back, where I ask someone to come out and look at the roof or look at plumbing or look at something, and by the time they get out there, that 7-day window's already gone. And I'm like, never mind, I have to pull the contract.
Yeah, you're calling the wrong roofer. Part of my biggest thing is customer service and getting out there right then, especially with this crew. You guys call me and I'll have somebody out there about the next day. And I've got a computer program. I go out there and look at it, put it in the computer program. I can shoot you the baseline cost in an hour.
That's actually a great question, which ties into all of them. If he was to call you, how long?
So we have a dispatching program. You call into the office, we get you into the schedule. If it's just Cameron, we're usually there within 24 hours. If you call early in the morning, you can ask Wendell, about 75% of the time, we'll have somebody out by that afternoon. It may be late, say 4 or 5 o'clock, but we'll have somebody out. If not, usually it's within 8 to 10 o'clock the next morning. So,
Fast.
yeah.
I mean, same thing. We guarantee 48-hour service calls during busy seasons, but we also have guys that are running calls at knocking on renters' doors at 8 o'clock at night, work until 10 o'clock to get them situated so we can move on to the next one tomorrow.
So, same day or next day.
Yeah.
It's all the same day.
It'd be same day. You can call them and you can have a quote in 10 minutes.
Yeah, I had to, because that's what he did. He called me and said, we're closing about noon. So, yeah, we'll knock it out. Builder's risk, whatever it is.
Great question.
I have another one for the
Okay.
HVAC guys. When we buy property, a lot of the smaller ones that make surprisingly good rentals don't have central air conditioning. How much clearance do you need in the attic to get ductwork? And if there is not enough clearance, what would you recommend after that?
So it depends on the size of the property to see, like if it's a 2-ton, that's a lot smaller of a unit. The ducts work is going to be the same, but we can it just depends on the size of the property. I'd say ductwork's probably a foot deep. Of course, we need room to get in there and work, walk around, or we don't have to walk, but get in there to do what we need to do. And if it doesn't have enough clearance, you need to call him and we probably need to raise your roof a little bit, or, you know, whatever that stuff looks like. It's kind of out of our hands.
So no mini splits?
I'm not gonna say no mini splits, they have their place, but mini splits are a disposable product. Meaning they should not be cooling an entire house. Do not put, I mean, we would not recommend 6 mini splits in a house. They're for sunrooms, they're for sheds, they're for garages, limited use, for sure, so, yeah.
Actually, talking about mini splits, I've heard a lot of Airbnb specialists, they would install mini splits specifically just for the bedrooms, so guests could adjust the temperature just for that one room. What's your opinion on that?
We would still say no. I mean, like I said, it's a disposable product. He mentioned they're gonna use and abuse your area. I understand you want your Airbnb tenants to be comfortable, and if we're gonna get that high end where you want them to adjust that bedroom, we can do that with central heating and air dampers. We can put thermostats in every bedroom. I mean, how efficient are we trying to go here?
Zoning systems.
Zonings, yeah. And I would
You
not.
can get crazy.
Do not buy a mini split on Amazon. Do not buy a mini split on Amazon.
That is the
They do
worst
not
thing
have
you
a
want to
warranty.
The other thing is the remotes, they are mobile on mini splits. They
Yeah.
are not attached to the wall, so if you lose a remote, you
You're
cannot adjust
SOL.
anything on that mini split.
Yep.
Is that clear? No mini splits.
Just call us if you want a mini split, you know, we'll let you know.
It's gonna be
If
done.
it's appropriate in that
Yeah.
area. Windows like,
Everything's different. I mean, you're in a 1 bedroom, 1 bath, you know, really small. That might be something we would put a mini split in, you would put a
Might.
mini split in. But 99% of the time on it, you need to run central heating and AC.
And you're gonna get more for rent that way.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a big plus to renters, is central heating and air.
When they don't see a bunch of window units in the windows.
Any other questions?
There's one over here too.
Yeah, if we have no more questions, I'll come back to you.
Jesus.
What's your opinion on cleaning ducts, as in just general cleaning of?
Depends on the duct. If it's flex duct, we would say absolutely not replace it. That brush is gonna go in there and eat that up. Yeah, I mean, replace it. If it's, you don't have it, I mean, if it's metal duct, we can get in there and clean it a little bit better. But most rental properties are gonna be flex duct, and it's cheaper in the long run to just replace it.
And ductwork,
Yeah, replace it.
replace.
Oh, I got a question, and it kind of ties into what you just showed me. Dealing with the city, as far as the sewer taps, in the past, the city has always covered that. What's the stance on that today?
They do not cover that no more. You can call the city yourself, or, I mean, we've helped call into the city and say this, you know. But you as a homeowner, it's $1,000 for y'all, right? $1,000 now?
It's $1,000.
It's $1,000 for a new sewer tap right now. And then you get on Lubbock's timeline.
Yeah.
Could be there in a day, could be there in 6 months.
That's what the city charges?
Yes, the city charges $1,000 for a sewer.
Does everyone know what the sewer tap is?
Really?
Yep.
Everyone know what that is? So your house drains to the alley typically, right? And it ties into the city's drain. And that tap that connects your house to the city is called the sewer tap. In the past, the city has always covered it. Not no more.
Nope.
So even if it's the city's problem, you have to pay for it now.
Even if the trash truck runs over, gets too far to the side and crushes it, doesn't matter, it's on the homeowner.
Yep. Paying for that
It
right
cannot
now.
be covered under
So-
insurance.
No, you cannot. And trust me, I would have tried. I'm paying for it literally now. I just
paid
got
for
that this week.
What?
That's it. They'll
Last
do it.
month.
They'll do it on your. You can put it on they'll draft it for 12 months and 12 months, but you're paying for it now. So yeah, there's no avoiding that.
There's
Sorry.
Sorry.
What you do, you can have coverage for what leads to the alley, which is yours.
Yeah.
But there is no coverage for what happens out there. The city.
After it's off of your property.
After it's
Once
off
it
your
hits that fence line, I can go 2 feet out with my shovel, but I cannot dig any more outside of your fence, per se, with my excavator. So, there is other companies that do sewer taps. You're talking 3,500 to 6,500, some of them, there's one company that wanted to charge us like 12,
It was $8,600.
$8,600 for one. So, now, you go with one of these other companies, they're more expensive, but you're on their timeline. They're probably gonna get there within 2 to 3 days. They're gonna get you on the schedule, and they're gonna do it, So, sewer taps, it's how much money do you wanna spend versus how much time do you wanna wait?
Now,
Can you wait?
If there's a blockage so bad that it's not flowing at all, supposedly they'll speed it up. Supposedly.
If it's an occupied,
Yes.
Yes,
Occupied.
then sometimes that pushes it up a little
Yeah.
bit, but.
They usually get that there with 2 to 3 days, and what they'll do is actually go down to their sewer, their manhole, and they'll see if there's water flowing, and run a camera down there and per se check your house to see if that tap is flowing or not. We would be there running water to see if it's clogged at the tap itself. So,
Any other questions?
I have a question about Airbnb insurance. What do you recommend on that? Because I'm like at the point, I have a bunch of Airbnbs and I manage Airbnbs and I'm like, I don't want to say it's an Airbnb anymore. Because it seems like the policies are very expensive.
They can be, but I use one carrier, and it is for short-term rentals. That's what it is, and it's designed that way. And it's not that much more expensive than your regular landlord policy. So I'm going to tell you something you probably know. Insurance is based on the perceived risk of the carrier. If the carrier thinks that tech students they'll damage your property all of a sudden, you'll pay more for insurance based on that particular risk. So your big box, they look at it like someone said it, that they're going to get in there and trash your place, people will throw parties. And so if you say it's an Airbnb, then these are all the things that go in their head. Now, the carrier that I use for this is the same carrier that only does investment properties. And the reason it's less is because these carriers know that you're not filing claims for every little thing, okay? Farmers, State Farm, Allstate, Geico, Progressive, they all think you're gonna file for every little thing. Investors aren't filing that, and these carriers know that. That's why it's cheaper. So it is more of a wholesale. They're doing it on a numbers game, and that's all they do is short-term rentals or landlord policy. So I don't think I've had anyone come to me that we really couldn't beat their rate unless you had some great, I've been with Allstate since 1970 policy, 1% deductible, but if it's a newer policy, it's not cheaper than what we use. It's like going to Costco to buy this in bulk, that's what you're getting. So, no, they're not that expensive at all. And they come with more maybe liability, and liability is so cheap on an insurance policy, or contents coverage. So that's why it's more, is because on that you're covering contents, because technically that owner owns that furniture. If you have a landlord policy and it has contents coverage, that is worthless because it's not your stuff, and that claim won't work because they know it's a tenant and that stuff belongs to the tenant. That's what renter's insurance is for. So no, if you have I'll run it for you just so you can see the difference. But that's just what I do. I'll just show you. But no, it's not more expensive. I have now I have one, but I had many before converted to long-term rentals. But the insurance is not much more at all. It's just up to about more than likely $30,000 in coverage for contents, which to each his own. But you really don't want to insure for much more because you shouldn't have that much more in value in the Airbnb. But yeah, it's not expensive. I try to rapid fire. It's quick. I try to. Is there a quick?
I have the same problem, that's fine.
All right. Stuart, let's go again.
For the last question for the plumber, when you get to the slab foundation, what do? Do you break the slab or do you tunnel from the outside of the house?
It depends where the leak is. If it's on an outer wall, and we can get to it easily, we like to try to tunnel under it. You know, it's a little bit harder work on us, per se digging, but if we go inside, we're still running a concrete saw and a jackhammer, and then we gotta pull that dirt out, and then we gotta lay everything back. So, depends on where it is in the house. If it's in the middle of the house, yes, we're gonna cut out the concrete, get down to it, and repair it, lay it back.
Sewer line, like throughout the whole house.
Each house is different, but 99% of your houses are gonna have a main sewer line that pretty much runs down the middle to where you're gonna go, and you have your restrooms, your kitchens, your dishwasher, and everything coming into it, and you're gonna have one main line out. However, back in the day, still some of the newer units, you have this side of the house that's on one line, and you have this side of the house that has another line, and that house actually has either 2 sewer taps, where they bring it outside in the yard, then they Y over to one, and then take it up to the single tap. It's all where it is. So I can't say I would do it this way on this house because it could be completely different on the next house. So.
That's true.
We try not to break up.
Yeah, we try not to break up concrete because that then entails if they have laminate flooring or ceramic tile down in there, you know, we're basically kicking them out of their house because we're setting plastic in this restroom and we're gonna have dirt and dust and everything flying. So it's a little bit cleaner of a job if we can get it from the outside, tunnel under, fix it, repack the dirt underneath the foundation, pack it back, and we're good.
Do y'all have some kind of tool that narrows where the leaks kind of run pretty close?
So we hire Lubbock leak detectors, American leak detection. They charge $300, whether they're there for 5 minutes or 5 hours. So, and we've actually used a couple of different ones, but the American leak detector, that is by far the #1 in Lubbock,
They
Texas.
have like electronic.
By the way, this is my wife and she runs the office and she's the real boss.
They have like electronic devices that they can use to do like in the walker.
Yeah.
It sends off the sound waves. If there's not an opening to it, we just did that yesterday. It was a hot water line and they were able to run it and locate it down the slab.
Okay.
So they
So
have.
you're not doing exploratory surgery on the
No.
concrete?
No, we're
I
not
mean,
just
they
exploring and
literally-
cutting because we want to.
They can pinpoint it down to about a 1 by 1
Yeah.
spot.
Okay.
They narrow it down and they say it's right here, and we usually cut out a 1 by 1 or a 2 by 2 square that's in the middle of the house. Get down to it, and then we find it, and then if we have to expand the hole a little bit, we'll expand a little bit, but we try to keep it to a minimum because we're plumbers, we're not concrete guys. When my plumbers put concrete back, and you can ask Wendell this, sometimes it's great, nice and level, and sometimes it's just a hair low, and we gotta have the floor guy come in and add some leveler to put the laminate or the tile back. So, it's all depends on where it is.
That was a long answer for that one, but perfect.
Last question.
You said that one was.
Yeah.
Oh,
For y'all, this is for you, Sean. With everything that's going on insurance-wise, and everything's slowly going up, and insurance companies are getting tighter and tighter and tighter, how confident are you to actually get us in our claims? Because I've heard, war stories.
To get the claim
Yeah,
paid.
yeah.
I'm very confident, but again, I'm only using carriers that insure rental properties. And it's just a big difference between that and farmers and State Farm and everything else. But again, listen, they are listening to everything you say. So if there's a leak, I came home and my living room is flooded. That's what you're saying. You're not saying, yeah, I heard some noise and man, there's a little, something was wet here and I didn't ignore it and I looked at it. You don't want to say all that. And I'm not telling you to say anything wrong. I'm just saying stick to the facts. That's why I file it. It's short. This is what happened. This is what I saw.
Yeah, short
Send
is
it
always
up.
better.
price and send them out there. That's not what you do. Believe it or not, you're not a plumber, but what you say all of a sudden carries a lot of weight when you say something they don't like, or they like it.
Sean's only putting his clients in companies that are actually paying.
Yeah, that's it. That's what I meant by admitted, because the carriers I use, they don't want to not pay it. They don't want to have that problem. It's like this whole city thing with this tap. If we all got up and went down there, trust me, we might be able to change something. But these carriers they're smart. They know that they're not going to pay out for just every little thing. So when they do have a claim to pay out, they'll pay it because they know it's not something superficial. And so it's a numbers game. I mean, they have a lot of policies. So a lot of this stuff isn't going to qualify for a claim. But I'm very confident. But at the same time, there's times I say, you don't want to file that. That's not worth it. And so sometimes you're not going to get it paid out because it's not worth it. It's not worth the claim. So, and I know people have that mindset, I got insurance, that's what it's for. No, I wish it was, but it's not. It's for those bigger problems. I try to be short.
No, you're good. You're good.
I think that was the shortest one.
You should see him eyeballing me, touching his phone, and
Taking the time.
Yeah, yawning and stuff. But if you have more questions, guys, I mean, this is what I do all day, so just call me. I got my cards here.
I am going to go ahead and wrap this up, just because we're at 7 o'clock. Do want to leave just a little bit of time for y'all to network a little bit. But these are the people that we are calling for our properties, whether it's a flip property, a rental property, any type of investment property. Joe's calling these people, Kevin's calling these people, I am. They mention my name a lot because I call them all the time. I'll call Sean just to bitch about insurance.
Yeah.
And he'll bitch about it with me.
Yeah.
And so it's perfect, I love it. And so you can edit that out. Okay. Okay. I trust these guys. They give the best prices. I do shop around. And they have the best prices, and they give you a discount for being here. So, thank you.